Good morning. This is the time and place for the Planning Hearing Officer hearings for May 18, 2011. My name is Laura Stotler, and I will be conducting the hearings today as hearing officer. We have one case today, and the relevant exhibits are posted on the panels directly behind me. The case we have today is a conditional use permit. Under the provisions of Title 30, Chapter 30.42 of the Glendale Municipal Code, a conditional use permit shall be granted if four required findings are present. They are, the first, that the proposed use will be consistent with the elements and objectives of the general plan. 2, that the use and its associated structures and facilities will not be detrimental to the public health, safety, the general welfare, or the environment. 3, that the use and facilities will not adversely affect or conflict with adjacent uses or impede the normal development of surrounding property. And 4, that adequate public-private facilities such as utilities, landscaping, parking spaces, and traffic circulation measures are or will be provided for the proposed use. This application also involves the sale, serving, or consumption of alcoholic beverages. So there's an additional 5 criteria that I also have to consider making findings. That where an existing or proposed on-site use is located in a census tract with more than the recommended maximum concentration of on-site uses, or that where an existing or proposed use is located in a census tract with more than the recommended maximum concentration of off-site uses, both as recommended by the California Department of Alcoholic Beverage Control, such use does not or will not tend to intensify or otherwise contribute to the adverse impacts on the surrounding area caused by such overconcentration. The second consideration is that where the existing or proposed use is located in a crime reporting district with a crime rate which exceeds 20% of the city average for Part 1 crimes as reported by the Glendale Police Division, such use does not or will not tend to encourage or intensify crime within the district. 3, that the existing or proposed use does not or will not impact any church, public, or adversely impact any church, public, or private school or college, daycare facility, public park, hospital, library, or residential use within the surrounding area. 4, that adequate parking and loading facilities are or will be provided for the existing or proposed use, or other reasonable alternatives satisfy the transportation and parking needs of the existing or proposed use. And then we have a 5th finding. It's notwithstanding the consideration of these above criteria, the existing or proposed use does or will serve a public necessity or public convenience purpose for the area. If the findings of the evidence presented in the application and at the hearings meet the criteria just described, then the planning officer can either approve or impose conditions for approval in the case in question. If the findings of fact are not evident, then the request will be denied. A notice of this hearing was accomplished by the use of public notices, which were mailed to property owners located within 500 feet of the subject property, and it was also physically posted on the site in question, placed in the local newspaper. It was also posted on the city's website. So the hearings will proceed as follows. First, I'll read the description of the application request. Then I'll ask the case planner to make a brief overview of the case, give an analysis, and make a recommendation. And as part of his presentation, he'll go over the comments that we've received from other departments. At this time, it looks like we've only received comments from the police department. The applicant will then be asked to come forward, stating both name and address, and will be asked to present the case within a 15-minute time limit. Others in support of or in opposition to the application and interested parties will then be asked to come forward to speak, again clearly stating both name and address within a 3-minute time limit. Lastly, the applicant will be given the opportunity to make closing comments if desired in response to testimonies given by preceding speakers within a 5-minute time limit. The hearing will be closed and the case will then be taken under submission. After the hearing, the decision will be prepared in writing and will be in the form of a letter sent to the applicant and to all persons who responded to the public notice, either by speaking at this hearing or who have submitted written comments and also provided their name and mailing address. The date of the decision will be the date appearing on the letter. Under the appeals provision of Title 30, Chapter 30.62 of the Glendale Municipal Code, the decision may be appealed to the Planning Commission within 15 days of the decision date, and the notice of appeal shall be filed with the Building and Safety Division located in Municipal Services Building Room 101, that's in this building. If you wish to speak, please write your name and address on one of the speaker forms which have been provided by the front door and submitted to our planning staff. I would also like to inform everyone that the official proceedings of the planning hearing officer's hearings are recorded on tape as part of the public record. So for the first case, we have conditional use permit PCUP 2011-003 located at 1114 North Pacific Avenue. This was continued from last week, May 11th meeting. The applicant is Nigel Manukian, the property owner is Rafi Kachaturian, and the case planner is Gabriel Riza. This is an application for a conditional use permit to allow the on-site sale, service, and consumption of alcoholic beverages at the existing tavern located at 1114 North Pacific Avenue in the C1 Neighborhood Commercial Zone, described as Lot 63 and 64, portion of Lot 65, tract number 726. And with that, I'd like to ask the case planner to please provide an overview.
Good morning, Ms. Stotler. The Sidebar Tavern is located on the corner of Pacific Avenue and Palm Drive. The total lot size is 21,000 square feet. There are 6 tenant spaces on the lot with 22 parking spaces. No city departments had major concerns regarding this application. However, the police department was the only department to recommend conditions. And I'll have Oscar Rodriguez of the Glendale Police Department give an overview of the crime statistics and suggested conditions. The existing tavern has been operating since January of 2005. No changes to the layout, services offered, or hours of operation are requested as a result of this current application. Based on interdepartmental comments, the applicant's request to sell alcoholic beverages should not require any new city services, harm the public welfare, or be in conflict with the existing or anticipated surrounding land uses. This application is consistent with the elements of and objectives of the general plan because it's a conditionally permitted use in this zone. It will not impede normal development on the surrounding properties, as this tavern has been operating for many years with no significant disruptions have occurred for this site so far. A note on the staff report. The staff report reflects hours of operation as being Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. That was information obtained from the previous conditional use permit. I have spoken with the applicant, and I believe some changes have been made to the hours of operation, which he'll discuss and present to you at that time. Overall, the small-scale tavern and its location make it unlikely that transportation and parking will be serious issues. While there are residential developments located to the east of the property, it is not anticipated that this use will adversely impact since the crime statistics have been below the citywide average. Staff believes that all findings can be made in a positive manner due to the project's small scale. In fact, that this is a renewal and the community benefit derived from a healthy network of amenities for businesses and residential communities. This tavern should not create any negative impacts on the surrounding schools, churches, parks, or libraries, as the tavern's hours of operation do not interfere with the neighboring activities. All this said, staff recommends approval of this application with the indicated conditions, all 23, as noted in the staff report. I'd be happy to answer any questions at this time, Ms. Stotler.
Has the applicant been given a copy of the staff report?
Yes, he has. He has a
Okay.
copy of the staff report and the application.
Okay, great. I have no further questions of staff. I'd like to call forward the applicant, Mr. Nigel Manukian. And would you please go over the findings? And then also, if you would like, please add what hours of operation you're looking at adding. And then if you have any concerns with the staff report, please let me know that too.
Thank you. Good morning, Ms. Stotler. Let me just get the hours of operation out of the way. Even in the police report, it stated that the hours of operation is from 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. Those are the hours that we would like to conduct business. So that's the revision that we're requesting. As staff has mentioned, this is a renewal of a permit of a tavern that's been existing actually over 60 years. And I would like you to consider the fact that this is not a new business, and over the past 60 years, this specific location has been serving liquor and alcohol without any adverse impact to the community. in regards to the conditional use permit questionnaires that we've submitted. The use will be consistent with the various elements and objectives of the general plan. The existing establishment is located in a C1 zone on Pacific Avenue. The C1 is intended as a zone for small shopping centers, professional buildings, service centers, and other commercial activities, providing convenience goods and services to the surrounding residential neighborhood in conformance with the comprehensive general plan of the city. Lounges are allowed in agreement with the commercial land use designation of the general plan. The use has been consistent with the prior CUP for the same establishment. This is a renewal of the CUP for a neighborhood establishment serving the local business and residential community. The existing use as a tavern is consistent with the various elements of the general plan and specific plan for the area, which is commercial service use and permitted use in the zone, subject to the approval of a conditional use permit. Sidebar has been a steady and consistent customer loyalty since its opening. No changes to the property or to the building are proposed. Dancing and live entertainment are an integral part of the business, and the continued permission to these activities is also sought with this application. The bar and parking areas have been in operation for several years without any detrimental effects to the public health, safety, and the general welfare of the neighborhood or the environment. The sale of the alcoholic beverages will continue to be performed in a safe and legal manner. Identification is routinely checked by security, and security is employed during peak hours to ensure the safety and abate any potential nuisance. The area is built out with commercial, neighborhood, and pedestrian uses throughout North Pacific Avenue area. The existing structure and use meet the intent of the zoning ordinance, and we have no reason with proper city review and imposition of standard conditions of approval to expect any detriment to occur with the continued sales of alcoholic beverages. Sidebar is a small community establishment with a maximum of occupancy of 99 persons. It is insulated from noise and well buffered from residential by a large parking lot and a shopping center. The continued service of alcoholic beverages for on-site consumption is a convenience to local patrons and a natural accompaniment to the area. The Sidebar establishment coexists harmoniously with its neighbors. The location has been used as a tavern for over 60 years without detriment to the community. The lounge offers a relaxed atmosphere where patrons can enjoy conversation with friends over an alcohol or non-alcoholic beverage. The location is well situated with respect to other facilities and will not impact property values or normal development within the surrounding area. Service of alcohol beverages has not caused any conflicts with surrounding development in the past and is not expected to do so in the future. All structures, parking, streets, and utilities are existing and are adequate for the existing establishment. The adequacy of the public infrastructure will not be affected by this application. Off-street parking is available on the property, and the existence of Sidebar has not created an impact on traffic patterns in the area or any burden on existing public facilities or infrastructure. The existing record will show that there has been no adverse impact to the area as a result of the service of alcohol beverages with this specific establishment. To the contrary, Sidebar has been a benefit to the area with its vibrant, unique, and friendly atmosphere. The Glendale Police Department crime statistics will show that the existence of Sidebar and its service of alcohol beverages has not intensified crime in the area and will not likely to do so in the future. The site is located in a census tract which does not feature an over-concentration of liquor licenses, nor does it have a high crime rate. The establishment is patronized by employees of many local businesses and residents. It has operated as a bar without impact to churches, schools, or other facilities in the area for over 60 years. With standard conditions of approval, the continued use of alcohol beverage, the continued service of alcohol beverages will not cause a detrimental impact to the adverse detrimental impact to the community. Sidebar is located on Pacific Avenue, which at this location is classified as a minor arterial street with predominant use of neighborhood commercial center in the circulation element of the general plan. It is adjacent to commercial uses and ample parking. Hours of operation are compatible with the other businesses, with other commercial uses in the area, with parking used predominantly when other businesses are closed. The location is well suited for this use, and all goals of the general plan are met by this establishment. Given the adequacy of the parking, the cleanliness of the establishment, the continuing compliance with all conditions of prior approval, the service to the public, and the lack of police calls to the establishment within the past year, or let me rephrase that, within the past 8 years, I'd like to go back 8 years of limited amount of police calls to the establishment. The public convenience is served and met by Sidebar. And I'd be, if there is any questions, I'd be happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, save my closing arguments.
Well, just I have a question. How long have you actually run the Sidebar?
That's why I said 8 years.
8 years?
Yeah.
For 8 years? Okay. And then Gabe said that you received a copy of the staff report with conditions. Are you okay with the conditions as they're proposed?
I'll be honest with you. The first thing that stood out is the hours of operation, which I'd like to do from 11 a.m. to 2 a.m.
Okay.
And if you give me an opportunity to, I have not read this in detail as far as the staff report, and
Okay.
if you give me an opportunity to review it and maybe address some of the concerns in my closing arguments, or after the Glendale Police Department.
Well, yeah, why don't I hear from, if you don't have any further information to add on that because you haven't really looked at them, why don't I hear from the police officer?
Yes.
And then when your closing argument, if you have a concern with any of these, let me know.
Yeah, that's what I propose.
Okay.
Thank you.
And with that, I'd like to ask Officer Oscar Rodriguez. I hope I have your title right. I'm sorry.
Good morning, Ms. Stotler. My name is Oscar Rodriguez. I'm a sergeant with the
Sergeant.
Glendale Police Department, currently assigned Vice Narcotics and also ABC Compliance.
Okay.
Good morning.
Thanks.
The applicant, Nigel Manukian, is in the process of obtaining a conditional use permit to allow the on-site sales, service, and consumption of alcoholic beverages at a full-service restaurant. This location is currently doing business as Sidebar. Sidebar is located in Census Tract 3012.04, which allows for on-sale establishments. There are currently 7 on-sale establishments in this tract. Sidebar is one of the existing 7. Based on Part 1 crime statistics from Census Tract 3012.04 in 2010, there were 73 crimes, 6% below the citywide average of 78. Within the last calendar year, there were 16 calls for service and 5 bar checks. 9 of the calls for service were directly related to this location, and I have the list of calls if you'd like me to enumerate those for you.
I actually have a copy of them.
Okay.
Is there anything that you'd want to point out there that I should be aware of? Is there something in the list of calls that seems abnormal to you that might indicate there's a irresponsibility on the part of the owner and operator?
Just within the last 4 calls for service, there was groups causing a disturbance. This occurred on September 22nd. When patrol officers, they observed an intoxicated male causing a disturbance with others, and he was taken home by his brother. There was a verbal argument causing a disturbance on October 24th. Citizens hears 2 women arguing loudly from the location. On October 30th of 2010, there was a fight. This was reported on Glendale Police Report number 10-18246. A fight broke out in the bar. Some people were injured. One by a thrown bottle. And then there was also there was a fight on March 20th of this year, 2011. There was no further information on that. And then on April 8th, 2011, there was a female causing a disturbance, challenging others to fight. And when the officers arrived, they were able to maintain the peace and ask her to leave. Those are the calls that would raise concern to us. because of the potential for violence and bottles being thrown in the bar. Obviously, that would cause an extreme danger to the public. I was actually there presently on October 30th. I spoke with Mr. Manukian that night. It seemed like there was a private party that had a party there, and it just seemed like there was somebody that interjected themselves into that private party that caused that disturbance, and I did talk to him about that that night.
But do you think is that something that's the owner was trying to control it? You think there was an effort on the part of the?
Oh yeah, it was something that was not. It's not something that's common in that bar. It's not something that happens very often in that bar. Just that night, it was a bad scenario. It was a Halloween costume party, and another person interjected himself into that private party, and that caused the problem.
Okay.
Okay.
And then I noticed that you have a list of recommended conditions.
Yes, there's a list of 10 suggested conditions. I'd be happy to read those out for you if you like.
Yeah, I'd like to
Sure.
make sure that the applicant's aware of them too.
Okay, the suggested conditions, number one, at all times when the premise are open for business, the service of any alcoholic beverage shall be made only in the areas designated within the ABC license. Consumption of alcoholic beverages will only be on those same license areas. Number two, sales, service, or consumption of alcoholic beverages shall be permitted only between the hours of 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. each day of the week. Hours can be amended by the planning or hearing officer or the designee. Weeknight and weekend restrictions may be considered. Number three, the premise may not be utilized for banquets, private parties, or other events unless it is less than 30% of the square footage, or they have appropriate conditional use permits and use variances if required, and the appropriate ABC license. Number four, there should be no video or arcade-type machines maintained upon the premise without appropriate permits. Number five, neither live entertainment nor dancing is permitted without appropriate city-issued permits or a separate conditional use permit when required. Number six, any establishment serving alcoholic beverages which has a dance floor of greater than 200 square feet is considered a nightclub and will require a separate conditional use permit. Number seven, no bikini activities or events, no lingerie activities or events, no swimwear activities or events, nor any similar activities or events will be allowed where partial clothing or of male or female entertainment is provided. Number eight, music or noise shall be contained within the edifice of the establishment. The business shall comply with all state and local and ordinances concerning excessive noise and disturbing the peace. Number nine, the business shall comply with the smoking ordinance. The applicant shall not permit any public nuisance at the premise or adjacent areas outside the premise. The applicant and the management staff and employees are strictly responsible for security on site and for preventing criminal activity, including but not limited to disturbances, alcohol laws, assaults, public drunkenness, noise, and drunk driving by patrons leaving the premise. And number 10, the premise shall be made available to any authorized city personnel, building, fire, police, neighborhood services, planting, etc., for the inspection to ascertain that all conditions of approval of this conditional use permits are complied with.
Okay. Thank you. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. With that, I'd like to ask the applicant if you'd like to provide closing remarks.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Stadler. In regards to the security, excuse me, we have security that checks all identification prior to individuals entering our bar. The security personnel is there to abate any fights, any public drunkenness that is once in a while typical of bars and taverns. Things happen sometimes. And what you do is, as an owner of this type of business, you hire security to abate it. We believe that we've done a an exceptional job in abating it. We pay a lot of money to have our security guard, who's very professional, to do his best to prevent these incidents that once in a while occur. Many times, many of those phone calls, by the way, I would like to point out, were made by our employees. So when our employees, they've been trained that if there is a disturbance and things are escalating to the level of where the Glendale Police Department need to be called, they are required to call. So some of those disturbances that you see, we called Glendale Police to come and assist us in abating, because obviously we don't carry any weapons to thwart these activities in case it's necessary. Not that these incidents required that, but obviously when someone is drunk and they see a black and white pull up, all of a sudden they'll change their behavior very quickly and leave the premises. So I do want you to be aware that some of those calls were made by the establishment. Another issue that I'd like to request in reviewing our permit is if we could have the CUP for a period of 10 years. Since this is an existing tavern for over 60 years, and even the police department has indicated that the level of crime is below other areas in this city, so I would think that they agree with the fact that we've done a pretty good job above and beyond some of the incidents that have taken place. So since this establishment has been around for so many years, we would request that you give us the CUP for a 10-year period. And other than that, the conditions that the police department is recommending, we've complied with those conditions for the past 8 years, and we will continue to comply with them. The live dancing and entertainment permit have been obtained from the city clerk's office, and we've applied for a renewal of that permit. So that activity will be done in accordance with the Glendale Municipal Code, and permits will be obtained and have been obtained properly.
Okay.
And so as far as the conditions set by the Glendale Police Department, we've complied with all of them, and we will continue to do so.
Okay.
And I believe that's about it.
Don't have anything to add, or?
Well, other than that, I think this is our establishment is not just a tavern. We've had many functions, charitable fundraisers, political fundraisers. We've had mixers, Glendale Chamber of Commerce, alumni associations of universities. So we actually do a lot of good for the community. It's not just a place to come and drink. So we believe that the establishment has benefited the community in light of numerous charitable and other activities that help out the local community. So hopefully you'll take that into consideration as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who wishes to speak on this item? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to take this item under submission, and this hearing is now officially closed. Thank you for coming.
Bye.